Eastern Bloc of the FARC-EP. The Eastern Bloc of the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, from September 2010 known as Bloque Comandante Jorge Briceño, in honor of the slain guerrilla leader, was considered to be the strongest military faction of the guerrilla group. It was divided into groups of 5,400 combatants in each group, which patrolled and controlled different areas of Colombia's eastern and central eastern territory, as well as helped to carry out the killings. The specific divisions of the group are arguable. Some of the believed divisions, or fronts, as they were commonly called, are shown below. Many of these fronts sometimes worked together towards a certain mission, while others were further divided into columns and companies with a smaller number of members. For more general information, see FARC Chain of Command. Commanders. This group of commanders was called the Embo Estado Mayor del Bloc Oriental. First Front, also known as the Armando Rios Front. It was composed of around 400 people. It operated mostly in the Guaviare department. Seventh Front, also known as the Jacobo Prize Alate Front. It was composed of up to 400 people. It operated mostly in the Meta department. 10th Front, also known as the Guadalupe Salcedo Front. It was composed of up to 300 people. It operated mostly in the Arauca department. Several police officers infiltrated one of the FARC's 10th Front camp in early 2008, preparing an attack on the camp by a police squadron. The attack came on July 29, killing Jorge FARC commander and friend of FARC head Mano The ground offensive was followed by an Air Force attack, killing 20 guerrillas, unofficial sources said. On October 22, 2011, members of the front killed 10 Colombian soldiers in an ambush in Arauca. On March 17, 2012, alleged members of the 10th Front killed 11 members of the Colombian army. Security forces launched an offensive few days after the attack. On March 20, 3 alleged members of the FARC are killed and 4 captured by the army. On March 21, 33 FARC members were allegedly killed and 5 others captured. 16th Front, also known as the FARC-EP's front, it was composed of up to 300 people. It operated mostly in the Vichada department. 22nd Front, also known as the Simon Bolivar Front, it was composed of up to 120 people. It operated mostly in the Cundinamarca department. 26th Front, also known as the Hermogenes Maza Front, it was composed of up to 130 people. It operated mostly in the Meta department. As of 2011, this front operated in La Uribe, Vista Hermosa, La Macarena, and other municipalities. 27th Front, it was composed of up to 500 people and operated mostly in the Meta department. 28th Front, also known as the José María Córdoba Front, it was composed of up to 120 people. It operated mostly in the Casanare and Boyacá departments. 31st Front, this front was composed by up to 120 combatants and operated mostly in the Meta department. Its activity diminished notoriously after its head, Duvan Alberto Cartagena, was captured. 38th Front, also known as the Ciro Trujillo Castano Front, it was composed of up to 100 people. It operated mostly in the Casanare and the Boyacá departments. 39th Front, also known as the Joaquin Ballon Front, it was composed of anything between 40 and 300 people. It operated mostly in the Vichada department. The front was led by El Khadid. 40th Front, also known as the Jacobo Arenas Front, it was composed of up to 350 people. It operated mostly in the Meta department. 42nd Front, also known as the Combatients de Cundinamarca Front, it was composed of up to 110 people. It operated mostly in the Cundinamarca department. 43rd Front. It was composed of up to 300 people and operated mostly in the Meta department. 44th Front. Also known as the Antonio Ricaurte Front, it was composed of up to 350 people. It operated mostly in the Meta department. 45th Front. Also known as the Atanasio Girardot Front, it was composed of up to 150 people. It operated mostly in the Boyacá and Norte de Santander departments. 51st Front. Also known as the Jaime Pardo Leal Front, it was composed of up to 80 people. It operated mostly in the Cundinamarca department. 52nd Front. Also known as the Juan de la Cruz Front, it was composed of up to 120 people. It operated mostly in the Cundinamarca and Boyacá departments. 53rd Front. Also known as the José A. Anzoátegui Front, it was composed of up to 120 people. It operated mostly in the Meta and Cundinamarca departments. 54th Front. Also known as the Angel Bonilla, it was composed of up to 50 militants. It operated mainly in the Meta department. 55th Front. Also known as the Tifilo Faro Front, it was composed of around 150 militants, although the members of its urban network were much greater. It operated mostly in the Cundinamarca department and was considered the FARC's base in Bogotá. It was considered responsible for much of the terrorist activity that occurred in and around the capital. 56th Front. It was composed by up to 80 people and operated mostly in the Casanare and Boyacá departments. 62nd Front. Also known as the Yari Front, operated in the Meta department. On February 14, 2012, alias Doomer, his lover alias Gisela, and 2 other rebels were killed by the army. 4 other have been captured. Antonio Nariño Front. It was an urban network composed of up to 50 individuals and operated in Bogotá. Urías Rondón Front. Columns and companies. The following columns and companies also were part of the Eastern Bloc. Campania Marquetalia, formed in January 2011. Operated in the Meta department. 54 members. According to a report in El Espectador, the column's medics treated the local population, providing basic health services where the state presence was non-existent. Mobile Column Alfonso Castellanos, faction of the 10th Front, composed by up to 120 members. Operated in the Arauca department. His leader, Gabino, was killed on August 24, 2008 by the Colombian military. On the second in command, John Javier Arrizagil, alias Milton Diaz, has been killed on August 19, 2010 too. Mobile Column Juan José Rondón. It was composed by up to 250 members and operated mostly in the Guaviare department. Its last known leader, Octavio Salamanca, alias Urías Cuellar, was killed in 2001. Special Forces. It is composed by up to 80 men and operated in what used to be the demilitarized zone. Company Reynel Mendez. It was composed by up to 80 men and operated in what used to be the demilitarized zone. Company Esteban Ramirez. It was composed by up to 80 men and operated in what used to be the demilitarized zone. Company Manila Beltran. It was composed by up to 50 men and operated in the Cundinamarca department. Its leader, Neftali Murcia Vargas, known as Camilo Tabaco, was killed on September 3, 2008, according to the Colombian Army. Company Abelardo Ramiro. It is composed by up to 40 men and operates in the Cundinamarca department. On March 26, 2012, tens of members of the front were killed by an offensive of the army, including the company leader Alonso Rivas. Yesid Borracho, the successor of Alonso Rivas, was killed on July 30. Company Joaquin Ballon. It was composed by up to 140 men and operated in the Cundinamarca department. Company Che Guevara, faction of the Eastern and Caribbean blocs, composed by up to 120 members, operated in what used to be the demilitarized zone.